Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. As you guys can see, I got a cool looking little RC speedboat from DRC I'm going to take out here on the lake today. This is a 2008, or 2008 is its model number for this guy. Let's quickly look at the box so we can just look at some of the features it mentions here. It does have that self-righting, which is really important. So if the boat would capsize, you can simply do a reverse forward and the boat will flip back over upright and you can continue going. It's got the motor cooling system, which is just some water cooling because there's really no airflow at all inside of the boat. So you need something to help keep that little brushed motor cool. Then you have one-click demonstration. It's a demo mode. You can do a circle or a figure eight, and I'll explain that here in a moment. Low battery, it'll go to a low power state whenever it's about ready to go dead, so you can bring it back to shore, and that's to save the lithium-ion battery. Of course, it's waterproof, and one of the other neat features about this, it has LED lights, which I'll show you as well, because you know these boats and stuff are getting to be all the same. So there's a few cool features about this boat that's a bit unique compared to all the other ones I've seen, and that is that demonstration mode and the LED lighting. Of course, steering trim, and there are 2 speed rates for this boat. So let's take a closer look at the boat again. It looks a lot like the UDI-RC or some of the little Falloon boats. I imagine they probably actually make this. You get your stabilizers here in the rear, and your rudder, and your prop. And here are the LED light. There's one here and one on this side on the hull of the boat. Now, I don't know how visible that's going to be. I bet you it's not going to be able to see it much at all during the day. And they probably, we'll have to see when they turn on. I'm guessing they're white. But anyway, in the late evening, or if you want to take this boat out at night, that's when those LEDs would really shine, so to speak. Now that water cooling, you have an intake here, and I believe it expels it out here on the side. They don't ever do, you don't ever see a lot of water movement, but just enough to keep that motor cool. So let's unlock the top. You just take this little dial all the way to the bottom, and then you can pull this top off. It is rubber sealed, so of course that should keep it waterproof. And there is the hose that comes up, coils around the motor, and then expels on the side, again to keep the motor cool. You have your steering servo here, and somewhere up in the front here, and I believe in this compartment is probably your ESC, and some of the wires that run up here to power the LED lights. And of course your lithium ion battery will go in this little tray, which I'll show you guys here. You do get 2 of these. They are 2S 7.4 volt 1200 milliamp hour LiPo. It says they're LiPo batteries, but that feels like lithium ion to me. Basically the same thing, just LiPos are usually not in these hard cases, so I think those are 2 cells, 2 lithium ion batteries, and they give you 2 of these. Now there's no balance plug, unfortunately, so you don't actually charge it through the balance plug, which you typically see on these kind of batteries. It uses this 4-pin connector, which will be fine. It's just the cells could get a little out of balance and there's no way to balance them, but I wouldn't be too worried about that. The charger, of course, like I mentioned, is USB, and it uses those 4 pins, 2 for each cell, to just charge it up to 8.4 volts, which would be full capacity of the pack. So, you know, like I said, if they get a little out of balance, then unfortunately there's not much you can do with this guy. You get a boat stand that you put together so you can set the boat on the stand, so it just snaps together. Let you set it on a shelf, so you don't have to set it, you know, awkward sitting on its the hull of the boat. You get an extra prop in here in case you would damage it. A removal tool for getting inside there and removing that stuff. This wrench, I should say. Phillips screwdriver in there. And of course the charger was also in there, but I obviously took it out so you guys could better see it. But there's everything that's in there. Your stand, a screwdriver, a wrench, and an extra propeller. And here is the pistol grip controller. You have an LED switch, so you can turn that on and off. If the LEDs are not visible, you can save a tiny bit of battery power doing that. It takes 4 AA batteries here in the bottom, and it's of course fully proportional. And your forward and your reverse. And reverse, don't expect it to do much because it's a boat, so it's just going to change the direction that the prop's spinning. So it's just going to, they just usually kind of, they don't do much when you go in reverse, just enough to turn around. You get 2 speed rates on this button, so low and high. Your trims, if you need to trim it up, if it's pulling one way or another. In your demo mode, as I mentioned at the beginning of this table review, you have a demo mode. So you press it once and just let up, and it's supposed to do a circle. And I guess you press it again to cancel. It's possible you just give it throttle or steer it and it'll cancel. We'll see when we get out there. The instructions doesn't say. And if you press and hold, so I suppose it doesn't say how long. I guess you have to press and hold it the entire time. You want to do this figure 8. So press and hold, and it'll go and do a figure 8. So we'll test that out as well. That's actually a pretty cool little feature if you want to just do an automated figure 8. And then I guess you let up and that would cancel it. So pretty basic little boat in terms of what we see nowadays, but these always work great. It ought to be relatively quick, and the self-riding always, in my opinion, has always worked well on these style of boats, so I expect that to work really well. And we'll just get out here and drive it around. You know, I don't know the drive time. You hope it goes into the low battery state, but you know, I would usually get an idea when you do these, drive it a few times, and once it goes a low battery, you know, immediately bring it to shore. But you always worry if you're out of ways if it doesn't want to get to shore. So as you get more familiar with the boat, you may want to start to use a timer on your phone so you know when to bring it back, so you don't have to rely on that. But again, I don't know. So usually I don't run these boats all the way dead. I just do them a few minutes so I know I can bring the boat back to shore. All right, guys, that wraps up the table review portion here of the boat. So let me get the battery in there and get it connected to the controller, and we'll get on the lake and see how this boat performs. So I'll be right back. Okay guys, let's get the boat out here on this lake. I'm so lucky I live next to these 3 lakes, and I'm so glad I found this boat ramp. It's just a perfect place to get a boat right into the water, and it's just a great place. And the water's not super choppy today. It's a very calm day, really a glorious early summer day, low humidity. It's just beautiful. So let's get it out here. Now you can see I have it connected, but there's nothing going on because it does have that safety feature that it needs to make some contact with the water. And I'm not sure where those contacts are on here, but it basically, when it senses the water, then the boat will allow you to power it up and start the propeller, so you don't get your finger caught in there and chop it up by accident hitting the controller. And these lights are actually blue, and they don't, I keep turning them on and off and not seeing them, but when you put it in the water and it activates the motor and allows the power to the system, then those lights will light up, and they're not going to be easy to see during the day, but it is kind of cool that they are blue and not white. So let's go ahead and get it in the water and you guys will see. I'm just going to toss it out here, and there we go. And you can see there are also red LEDs in the rear, which I just now noticed. So you may be able to see at times that blue light. That's why I stopped there. I'm gonna try to back it up so you don't hit that, get caught, the prop caught up in that pond scum. But there's a red light. Hopefully that shows up. I didn't notice those, and I'm glad that there are more than just the 2. I said there was just 2 blue lights. I didn't notice those were on the rear. So you have blue and red. That moves along pretty good. This is faster than the little jet-powered turbine boat that I reviewed a few weeks back. That boat would submerge a little and it would just keep getting bogged down, and that's why I mentioned that these boats like this are better. It is pulling to the right, so I'm just going to steer trim a few times to the left and see if that helps adjust the rudder position so that we don't pull. And we almost need to test self-riding because I don't think this boat's going to flip. Now, I'm pretty sure this is a low rate. That moves pretty good. Let's go ahead and try let's see. No, that's a low rate. So it started out in the high. I was hoping maybe it had another speed. That's not bad though. That's why, you know, I didn't even think about it at first. But yeah, here's the low rate. This would be fine if you get a young one, maybe a 6 to 8 year old that wants to try this and doesn't want to get away from. That's a nice, perfect speed, but it's certainly not fast. Let's go back up to the high rate. Now this boat's advertised at a 15-minute run time. Even if that's exaggerated by a couple minutes, that's pretty good. Because in those big brushless boats that I had that are, you know, go twice this speed, those boats will, they might run 5 minutes, you know. So that's a nice run time. This is really neat little boat. Something I would have just gone crazy as a kid to have something like this, because you just didn't have the remote control technology without spending a fortune on a boat that you had to build. All right, let's try some of the demo features here before, while we do have good battery power. So let's see if I just press that demo, will it go? All right, so let's do a circle, and there it is, just spinning in a circle. So you don't have to do any inputs, it's just gonna spin. Let's see if I can steer out of it. Yeah, giving it steering inputs canceled it. And let's try holding it down and do that. I get out of way just so we're far enough from the shore. And let's hold it down and see if it does that figure 8. And then it should steer the other way. There we go. It's a figure 8's changing directions. As you can see, it's moving around, but yes, it's doing a figure 8. If I let up, well, no, I need to just give it steering inputs, because once I let my finger up after holding, let's try that again, it continued to go. So let's try it again. Now let's see if I let my finger up, will it continue to go? Yeah, so it says hold and press, but you don't have to keep it pressed the entire time. Just press it a couple of seconds so the remote controller can distinguish between a short press circle mode and long press figure 8. Just give it some steering input, and there we canceled it. This is nice. Pretty much exactly what I expected it would be, being that it's designed just like those little UD, and there's quite a few. UDIRC, Falun, JGRC has a few boats, I believe, like this, and Volantex. So one of those companies makes this boat. DRC, rebrands and sells it on Amazon, which is fine. You get good customer service with them, and you get that 2-day shipping. They were kind enough to send this to me, so I don't know offhand the cost of this boat, but I don't expect it to be too terribly expensive. And they always have 2-day prime shipping. You can get it in at least 2 days. Depending on where you live, you might get it in 1 day or even possibly the same day. That same day shipping is pretty crazy. I don't know if that qualifies on this product though, but let's bring it up here to the shore, and it just flew right up there. And let's see, let's just test the self-righting if we can. Let's try to get some of that grime off the prop and that. And let's just throw the boat in here upside down. Oh, it wanted to self-right anyway. Let's try that again. I may have to set it in here. I just want to test the self-righting. It really wants to flip. Look at that. In fact, I'm thinking this design, they don't tell you in the instruction manual how to self-right, and I just assume you do the reverse in the forward. It appears that the way this boat's weighted, it just will not flip over. That's pretty cool. So there's no self-righting reverse forward like a lot of the boats use. It just flips itself over, which the instructions doesn't say. See? So you cannot capsize this boat. So when I told you guys a while ago that you had to reverse forward, I probably if I remember to put a note up there correcting myself and editing, but you can't actually capsize it. So that's nice. And again, I've not had one that did that. All the other ones, you capsize them and then you had to do your reverse forward. But I looked at the instruction manual several times trying to find instructions, and it didn't, and that explains why. They don't need to tell you how, because you just can't flip it over. It's sort of weighted to one side a little bit, which doesn't seem to affect its performance. As you can see, it's not pulling, it's not leaning a bunch. It will just simply, if you capsize, it's going to flip right back over so quickly you wouldn't even probably notice it happen, which is really, really nice. I would like to see more boats go to that. That way you don't have to rely on the reverse forward, which always seems to work well. But if you can't flip it at all, that's just one little bit less stress on you, that you're going to end up with a boat out in the middle of the lake that you got to go recover with a canoe. Awesome little boat. Pretty good speed, very maneuverable. And the LEDs are pretty cool. I mean, I can see that blue right there, and I can see the red at times, but the fishtail coming off, the rooster tail, I should say, coming off of the boat, not fishtail, is obviously obstructing the view of the red LEDs at times. But this would look really neat late in the evening. I don't know if I'd want to drive it around a lake at night, because then you're going to be totally dependent on the LEDs, which probably wouldn't be very much fun unless you got good moon, a full moon, or some other artificial lighting in the area. But then that way, at least you're going to be able to see those LEDs, and it'll be look a little bit cooler. But I'm happy to say I can see them during the day, and it adds a nice little realistic looking, a little bit more realism, I guess, even though LEDs like that may not be that common, but just makes it feel a little bit more unique. Okay, we got a beep. That probably means that we're getting down to a low battery. So you can hear the controller is actually beeping. Typically these boats will go to a low power state, which is what I assumed it would do. But it's actually just warning me. I would imagine at some point it probably would. But that's pretty neat, it's warning you, and you don't have to depend. I mean, this could be like an early low voltage warning. You would think this boat would, as I said, go into a low power state to conserve the battery and not ruin your lithium ion battery. But overall, that's pretty darn cool. So, as you can see, we review these things for a reason, and even though also as I test stuff, it's hard to be able to test a boat when I don't have a, let me turn the beeping off here, guys. When I don't have a lake in my backyard, I have a pool, but it's not very big. Obviously, we run some things I didn't notice. Obviously, the blue lights, I thought they'd be white. Didn't notice the red lights, which again, you can't, you can see they're flashing because they're telling me I lost bind with the controller because I turned it off. And the capsizing, which automatically, like I said, it won't capsize. It just goes right back over. That's just great. And the fact that the end there, the low voltage is more of a beeping at the controller, telling you, hey, bring it back while you still got good battery power. Again, I don't know if it'll go to a low power state. If you ignored that, probably would, but I wouldn't suggest doing it. I do hear some water in there. So let's go over here to the table, to the picnic table, and open it up and just see how much water to begin there, because you typically will get some water mixed in there. And let's just see how much. It won't really hurt the electronics, but you wouldn't want to get too much in there. It looks to me like this right side, even though I had it locked, is not really that well sealed. Yeah, there's some water, but yeah, a little more you'd like to see, but that could have been a bit my fault, being a bit unfamiliar with this boat. When you get it in here, you're going to want to snap that into place and get that sealed down. And you might want to press this side some more, but you can see it's a little bit raised on the right side. So it could be some water got in there. It could just got in, around the propeller. But so just make sure when you get done, empty the water out. If you're going to run 2 packs through this and you got both batteries charged, when it gets low and you hear the warning, bring it in, open it up, and obviously you got to change the battery. So when you open it up to change the battery, pour the water out. That way you wouldn't end up getting bogged down. If you get too much water, if you took on too much water, it's going to get weighted down, and conceivably you could sink. So, make sure you do pour the water out. All right, guys, that wraps up the review for the little DRC 2008 speedboat. Really awesome. I give it a huge thumbs up. I think it's great. If you're interested in this product, check the description or the pinned comments. I always included a link in the video description. If I remember, I try to put one in the pinned comments, but I usually forget to do that. And I'll include, I believe that I was sent a coupon code for this. I'm 90% certain they sent me a coupon code. So I will remember, try to remember to put that a discount code in the description. If you're watching this and you want to know where it is and you don't see it, ask me, because I might have forgotten, and I'll make sure that I put it into the description so you guys can use that at Amazon. All right, guys, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing to the channel. While you're at it, click the bell. That way you're notified every time I do upload a new video. And as always, guys, have a wonderful day.
The power of the dark side.